What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to Aaron for his contribution to this channel. Much respect, Aaron, for your contribution. And I saw your note, and yeah, I will be continuing my countdown with as far as small forwards are concerned. I've already done point guard and shooting guard, but I will go into further to the small forward listing. Now, um, let me talk about Steph Curry for a moment because a lot of people they have a knee jerk reaction to certain players that you criticize. For instance, honestly, I really haven't gone in on Steph Curry in years. Um, I haven't. Every now and then, I will do a video critiquing certain things about him um, that I think are the truth. But sometimes some people don't want to hear the truth. They just want to hear what they want to hear. Um, but last night was more of what I wish Curry would do. Okay. Curry did not shoot the ball particularly well, but he did what he had to do to lead his team to a victory. Okay. Um, it was against the Bulls. This is a team that, in years past, they would have smashed. This is the same team that, Klay Thompson scored, what was it, when he had the 14 threes, in a game against. You know what I'm saying? Um, this is a team in the past they would have smashed. The Warriors have a different trajectory this season, okay? Their goal, if they're going to have any type of goal, is to make the playoffs. That's their goal, okay? They're not a championship team right now. Unless Steph Curry steps up, they're not going to achieve that goal. That's just how it is. Look, there are going to be some nights when Curry's going to be on fire. They might be able to, if they keep their foot on people's necks, they might be able to get some relatively easy wins. If other guys show up like Andrew Wiggins, then what I'm saying, they might be able to have some relatively easier victories. But I think what's going to happen is when they play against the better teams in the NBA, the top 15 teams in the NBA, Steph Curry is going to have to be more aggressive offensively. I remember at the beginning of the 2019-20 season, which seems so long ago, that was before we've been dealing with what we've been dealing with this year, and before we got to worry about suicide bombers and all this other stuff that's going on. I did a video about Steph Curry then. I said that I thought that he would probably have to trade in his stellar efficiency for increased productivity. Okay, because defenses are going to key in on him, his shooting percentages are going to drop. Okay, I was thinking that instead of shooting around 47, 48 to 50%, he's probably going to shoot more around 43%, 44%. The 3-point percentage, instead of him shooting well over 40%, 45%, he's going to shoot more around 37%, 38%. Okay. But the trade-off is that he's going to shoot the ball a lot more. I think he needs to shoot the ball at least 20 times a game, maybe more than that. And I think he needs to be a bit more aggressive taking it to the basket. I know that's not his necessary forte. I get that. I know that he's not the greatest at creating his own shot, but the reason why he needs to get more foul attempts is because he's the greatest foul shooter in NBA history. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's going to get to the line as much as James Harden. James Harden is a naturally bigger, stronger guy, but Curry is a 90.6% career free throw shooter, number one in NBA history. And it makes sense for him to utilize his strengths. He's a great, great foul shooter. Try to get to the line, 7 or 8 times a game, maybe somewhere in that range. Um, but Curry's going to have to shoot the ball more, and he's going to have to be more aggressive. And that's why I predicted back then that he was going to lead the league in scoring, and that he was going to have some games where he, just has these monster performances. I say it was going to be. I said it was going to be some games where he's off and on and off. First quarter might be hot, second and third quarter's cold, fourth quarter on fire. Last night was kind of an example of that. He started off really cold against the Bulls, but then in the fourth quarter he became more aggressive. And when you combine that with the fact that the Chicago Bulls are still a very young team, I think they're still the youngest team in the NBA. And when you're a very young team, you're prone to making mistakes, especially down the stretch, whether it's ill-advised turnovers or bad shot selection or bad defensive lapses, whatever. Um, that will be enough for you know the Warriors to get back into the game and possibly pull it off, and they were able to do that. So the Warriors are now 1-2, and they're only 69. I'm not gonna say only, but there's still 69 games remaining in this shortened season. Um, it's going to be a tall task for them to make the playoffs. And I get that Curry's not exactly a spring chicken at age 32. But at this point, as a fan, you have to demand more of these guys. Okay, look, this is how I am. Every day on television, we get told how these guys are all-time great players. These guys are top 10 players. This guy's, in some people's eyes, I can't believe they even say this, but they say he's the second greatest point guard of all time, which, first of all, how did he jump from maybe not even top 50 a couple years ago? So now all of a sudden he's the second greatest point guard, which means that he has to be a top 10 all-time player, which is bullshit. Okay? There's no way in my head that I would rank Steph Curry higher than Moses Malone. Okay? But, that's just me. But if these guys truly are as great as they tell us, then, you know, don't just sit back and give half-hearted efforts and you know, and wait on the lottery. You know what I'm saying? Everything doesn't come easy. There are some seasons, even at a more advanced age, that some players had to, what I'm saying, for the sake of the franchise, they had to revert back to how they were during the struggling years. You know, what I'm saying? So, look, AI, when he was 30, what? How was AI then? 31? When AI was 31, he averaged over 33 points a game. That was his highest scoring average in his history, in his career, excuse me. He averaged 33 points a game. The team needed him to score that much. That team that he had in the early 2000s was in transition. It was a rebuilding year, from what I can remember. It was transitioning to becoming the Andre Iguodala team. Eventually, they'll become. AI had to score more points. He did it. You know, when Michael Jordan was 30, he had to score more points than he had been accustomed to in the last couple of years because the bench was so depleted. As did Scotty. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. When Cap was starting to get old in the late '80s, Pat Riley came to Magic and said, "Look, man, you can't just be a playmaker and passer anymore. You got to lead our offense too." And Magic went from averaging maybe 16 or 17 points a game to averaging 23, 24 points a game for the team. You know what I'm saying? He could easily drop 30, 40 points on you. So you got to do whatever is necessary for that franchise. If you're the superstar of that team, like people claim Curry is, to shut my black ass the fuck up, Curry needs to step up. Look, I'm not talking about always dropping 30 and 40 points. You're going to have bad games, okay? But the effort is all we're talking about. Effort. Um, if you're, look, and it's not just Curry. These other guys got to step up, okay? Andrew Wiggins. You know what I'm saying? I remember when you were first drafted, I always bring this up, and I thought it was ludicrous then. People were comparing you to Tracy McGrady, which is what the media always does, sheer hyperbole. Where is this game? Because unless Andrew Wiggins scores 20 points, he does nothing for his team. Nothing. This is your opportunity to shut all your critics up and be more consistent. It's not going to come easy. Look, Andrew Wiggins doesn't know a damn thing about winning. This is what Curry and his championship pedigree and experience can influence a guy like Wiggins to look, man, this ain't Minnesota anymore. We need to demand more of you. All this shit that I'm seeing with the Warriors, with Draymond Green and Steve Kerr laughing on the bench, um, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. This is supposed to be a franchise that has changed its identity when it comes to being a loser. After the Brick Berry championship years, they still had some decent years in the 80s with Joe Barry Carroll, aka Joe Barry barely cares. He should have been a lot better player than he was. Whether you're talking about who else is in that era, whether you're talking about Eric Sleepy Floyd or Larry Smith or Purvis Short, you know what I'm saying? Then they had the Run TMC era. But after Run TMC, for the most part, they sucked. Then comes the babyface assassin. And, he's had moments where he's looked like the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA. And he's had moments where he's dominated the game. Okay? But we need the babyface assassin. Even if he's not so babyface anymore, we need him to show up and lead this team. Okay? Klay Thompson isn't there. Draymond Green, I don't know what the fuck he's doing now. Okay? Ever since he, ever since he's acquired that contract, he's chilling. He sits with the smallest injury. He's not motivated to be great. He's already said something in the effect of, well, why play hard if there's nothing there to count for? Okay, all right. Well, you know what? If I'm an organization, I will remember these comments. You know, um, and Steve Kerr, I don't get it. I mean, you get blown out by 30 one game, 40 the next game. You almost lose to the Chicago Bulls, and you're laughing. That to me smacks of entitlement. Like this is a guy that knows my job is safe. Why? Because I've won 3 NBA championships. My job is safe. My job is secure. Nothing's going to happen to me. Well, Jimmy Johnson thought that too, didn't he? We live in a "what have you done for me lately" league, okay? And just like how a lot of people don't give a fuck about guys that said won championships 8 years ago, whatever. Well, after a while, people are gonna be like, "Hey, man, Steve Kerr, now that you don't have a loaded team, where you can just sit back on the sidelines and fan yourself and look up at the sun. Now you got to actually get up out of off your fucking shoulders and coach. Now you're being exposed as the overrated charlatan and fraud that I and many other people have said that you were. You're a nice guy. It's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? But as a coach, you're the worst I've ever seen in the NBA. They're the worst. And I've seen some very basic bad coaches. You're the worst. I think that there are certain high school coaches that can coach against you and win. You're that bad. But yeah, that's all I got to say, man. Tell me what you guys think.